and welcome back to the Young Break Musicians with me, Roxy Sell.
And with me, Connor Wells.
Ah.
How are you doing, buddy?
I'm really good. How are you?
I'm very, very good. I'm very, very excited.
I am too excited for today. I couldn't really sleep last night, I'm not going to lie. So we've been talking about a very special guest coming onto the podcast,
We have.
haven't we? And she is finally here. We are here. Go on.
We are here with the incredible, one of the most recognised leading ladies in West End musicals, starring in roles in London and Broadway, from Cats, We Will Rock You, Miss Saigon, Les Mis. We're joined by the incredible Kerry Ellis.
Hi.
Yeah. Oh, hi guys. That was a lovely little intro. And also you look so glamorous and it looks like a very professional set-up studio there, unlike my little office home studio. So I'm a bit shameful, but yeah, it's lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, this is like our little studio, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
London
technically
Road,
our
isn't
moving
it?
in day today, isn't it?
It is. We've finally got a studio here, an actual office here. So we're
Amazing.
so exciting. Yeah, we're so excited.
It's really fun.
I'm sad I can't actually be in the studio with you, but maybe we're moving to a time where we actually can be in studios together, because that's what's sad at the moment, isn't it?
I know. Can I just say I am a huge supporter of you. I didn't want to say fan because I'm going to be fangirling out. But so when I was younger, I was in the West End. I was in Mary Poppins and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Oh my goodness!
I saw you in We Will Rock You.
Oh my gosh!
And I literally was just like, oh my God, this woman is just insane. And I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. This is what West End is like. Like, it set the bar, and I was like, oh my God, this is like a passion that I love.
Oh, thank you. I mean, We Will Rock You was quite a special event. I mean, it was something that was pretty new and pretty exciting, especially, if you had a bit of rock influence in your bones, which I certainly do. So it was great to do, something so just different and edgy and new and exciting, and singing Queen songs and pretending we're rock stars was just joyous. It was amazing. So I'm glad you saw it.
Love that.
That's brilliant. So how has lockdown treated you the last few months? It must have been pretty interesting times for the musical theatre world.
Yeah, I mean, it's no secret that, the world of theatre has shut down completely. And it's career-wise, it was quite shocking and quite devastating to start with, because that's never happened in my lifetime. I've always had opportunity, or always had, even if I was not doing a big show or I wasn't particularly working, there was always an avenue to find something to do. And to suddenly have that door completely closed off was quite frightening. I mean, I've been doing this 20 odd years and I've never experienced anything like it. So, and I know many of my friends were the same. It was quite shocking, really. But then on the flip side, because I'm usually really busy, fortunately, it's great to have a busy schedule, but I don't get much time to spend as a family at home. So to simple things like having dinner with all my kids and my husband, sounds like I've got a tribe of kids, I've only got two, but to have that time where we just sit and it's simple, was actually a real blessing. And we all really embraced it and enjoyed it, loved going on walks and cycling and just doing simple things, which I think has been really beneficial for us as a young family. And it also forced me to do things like, I've been writing a book, I've been doing a podcast, which has been
Love
amazing.
your podcast.
Amazing. Oh, thank you.
I was listening.
It's been really nice.
It's really fun. I've been listening. What's the last episode I was listening to? I've been playing catch up on them, but I was listening to the one with Alfie Boe, the rock star of the opera world. I loved your little chat about saying no and letting go to have family time and stuff. I thought that was really, really lovely.
Yeah, and he was really honest as well. He kind of opened up in a way I wasn't sure he was going to, and it's amazing how honest people are in podcasts. I think it's because it's quite a nice world. The podcast world seems quite friendly and quite, everybody supports each other. It feels like almost a safe space to have your say. You're not on a big TV program or big radio station where you feel like you have to filter what you're saying or sell whatever you're selling. It feels like you can be honest and open, and for me, that's what was nice about doing my podcast. And I love listening to them as well when I'm out and about. And I love cycling with a podcast on and just hearing people chat and hearing people's thoughts. I think it's a great platform.
That's brilliant.
100%.
So it's like staying on the topic of like musical theatre. What was your start? What first got you into thinking, I want to perform on stage. I want to do musical theatre.
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, I was part of a local dance school when I was little. It wasn't anything too professional, just a local class, and then it kind of progressed from there. I did every local show going. I performed at the Wolsey doing The Wizard of Oz when I was about 10, and I went off to do the National Youth Music Theatre when I was about 11 or 12. And I think it was always in my blood to perform. I didn't quite know how it would happen. I think it was it was a route that was available to me, as opposed to something that I went, right, I'm going to do this and I'm going to follow that route. Because I think if I was younger now, I'd have probably followed more of a music route from day one, and maybe gone to the Brit School or something where I could write and follow a slightly different creative role. But I've loved my theatre, and it formed a massive part of my life, and it also allowed me to have a music career alongside it, which has been incredible. And I love it. I love being part of a show. I love the variety of what I do. I like that I get to do lots of different things, and that's really important.
So I read up a little bit about one of your inspirations, and I thought that it was amazing. You love Barbara Streisand, don't you? You and Elaine Page. And I remember seeing Elaine Page in Cats and just thinking, oh my God, this woman's amazing. Like, what made you fall in love with them specifically as artists? I mean, they're amazing as they are, but is there anything specific that you kind of thought that made them stand out from the rest, and you thought, you know what, I'd like to take a little bit of that person and sort of take inspiration from each of them?
Yeah, I think it was more because they were accessible to us. They were kind of mainstream. They had albums out. They were on the radio. They were accessible to us. I also had things like cast albums. I had the Les Mis cast album, and I had things like Magic of the Musicals, and I had like a Yentl and Barbara Streisand's greatest hits, and so it was what I was listening to and singing along to. More importantly, I think, and I think that was it really. I mean, Michael Ball as well. I had an album of his, but then on the flip side, I had things like my dad was a big rocker, so I had things like Meatloaf and Bonnie Tyler, and he loved Status Quo and the Beatles, and so I had that influence alongside this theatre. That's probably why I sing the way I do today, because I was singing all these different styles of music. But yeah, I think they just broke the mould a little bit. I think especially with Elaine and Barbara Dixon with something like I Know Him So Well, that was massive on the radio. And, those songs really, and I think they sparked an interest, because I thought, well, if I do a show, then I can also maybe have a music career. It sparked that kind of dual career straight away, I think, is what inspired me.
Oh, wow.
That's brilliant.
That's awesome.
So we got loads of questions from our audience as well. We're going to get to them at the end, but one question that I've always wanted to know is not who's your biggest influence. What is your dream role? Like, if you could choose, handpick your ideal role, your ideal sort of character, what would it be?
Or have you already done it?
Or have you already done it?
Yeah, I mean, I've done some played some incredibly inspirational women and strong women, which has been great. And there's a load of shows that I'm too young to do at the moment, things like Gypsy and Sunset Boulevard and The Baker's Wife I'd like to do. So there is a lot of things that I can do in the future, but what's exciting to me at the moment is working on new material, doing workshops that are where you're creating with the directors. I did actually a Beatles musical not so long ago, a workshop, and to be in the room for a week and kind of discover a show with the creators and rewrite it and read through it and sing the songs and then scrap it and then find a completely new direction is really exciting for me. One, because it's immediate and you're discovering and creating, and it's short, so you're not then going on to play a show for a year, which when you've got a young family is quite tricky. So yeah, something new maybe that I could put my stamp on and work with a director from day one and a writer would be exciting for me.
Oh wow,
that's amazing.
That's
How do you find the workload with your family and with doing what you love, your passion, your career?
Yeah, it has its moments, and it is difficult, and it's kind of the one thing that my husband and I do bicker about is childcare and not being together enough, and that's why lockdown's been amazing because it's given us that time. It is difficult. I mean, when they were younger, I would just take them with me. When they were in car seats and portable, I could just take them to hotels and they came on tour with me, which was fine. And they've both been around Europe and, been on planes and tour buses and before they were at school, which was amazing. But now they're both at school, it's become a bit more tricky. But it does have an influence on what I will take on and what I will accept and not accept, because I just don't want to be away for long periods of time. But I will go away for short periods of time and do big concerts and things so that I can still do what I'm doing but not be away every day. But I do feel fortunate that I get to do both. I get to have a career and also be a mum and have a family, and it's tough at times, but I think it's worth the challenge and worth the tiredness and worth the heartache, because I get to do both and I get to have both my loves at the same time.
But they must be so proud of you as well.
Oh hell yeah, definitely.
Well, I don't think they really realise yet. They're too young. They just take it all in their stride. They come to these big arenas and they call Brian Uncle Bri, and they hang out in all these amazing places. But they don't. Kids take it at face value. They don't take it. They just deal with what they're seeing in front of them or what they're doing on the day. They're equally happy having going down the park with their grandparents. They live in the moment, kids, and I've learnt a lot from them. And I think as adults we think so much, we overanalyze things, and we think too much in the future. And I think it's kind of good to just be in the moment sometimes and live in the day and live with what you're doing in that moment. And kids do that. And yeah, but they are proud. I mean, if they hear me singing on the radio or whatever, they do go, "Oh, it's you, mummy," which is lovely, but they're not that bothered yet.
Have they showed any interest of wanting to get into what you do, or getting into the West End, or doing anything for performing? Or
yeah, my youngest Fred he likes to kind of dance and sing a little bit around the house. So we're going to put him into a little like a little fun club thing on a Sunday where he can sing and dance and that. My eldest wasn't really interested. We did try him, but he's too physical. He just wanted to run up and down in the studio, and he's all sport and sport and more sport. So I don't know. They might find it later as well. If they want to find it, then that's great, but I don't want to push them into it, or just support whatever they want to do, really.
So you mentioned Uncle Brian earlier. Now, lots of people, obviously, during lockdown, Brian May's been posting those little duet things where you can like sing along with him or harmonise on guitar with him. So obviously they've been, lots of people have been doing them, but you have had the privilege to actually do an entire tour, like perform with him all around the world. What was that experience like, and how did that come about?
Yeah, amazing. I mean, I've known Brian for nearly 20 years now. We met. He actually saw me in My Fair Lady when I was doing that show, and then he saw me and asked me to audition for We Will Rock You, which I did, and then we obviously worked on the show together, and then I started working with Brian about a year, I reckon, after the show finished, or when I came out of the show, and then we, sporadically worked in the studio for about 8 years on and off, doing various songs and bits and pieces. Eventually we came out with an album, Anthems, in 2010, I think it was. And that was great. And then maybe it was a year after that we then went on tour for the first time. And then once we toured, it then just kicked off, and we started doing more albums and more touring and more shows. And we had about 6 years of of doing that. And then Queen started to pick up again, obviously with Adam Lambert. So, you know, time got quite limited for him. So he was doing that and touring with them. And then he'd come back and we were working on various songs. And we were doing actually a new album before lockdown hit. We got about 3 songs in, which was great, but frustrating now because then we couldn't carry on. But we will when we can get back in the studio. But yeah, he's great. He's a mentor. He's part of the family, really. He's brilliant.
Can I... So just coming away from Brian for a second,
just
because there's always something that I've always wanted to know. So We Will Rock You, Wicked, they're also vocally challenging and vocally demanding. Yeah. How do you, like, obviously, they're like, but how do you keep your voice intact and not and make sure that you don't damage it, because you're in that show for a long period amount of time, and I know you have understudies and that kind of stuff, but how do you make sure that you don't damage your voice and that you look after it? Is there a specific thing that you do?
Something like that, didn't we?
Yeah.
So she was in The Bodyguard and
Zoe Burkett.
Zoe Burkett.
I love Zoe Burkett.
Because she was in The Bodyguard and Rock of Ages, and they're again really
big sings.
Yeah, big sings.
So how do you look after your voice?
Yeah, well, I mean, it varies from show to show and what demand you've got on you. I mean, Wicked was a complete learning experience for me. I mean, I almost did lose my voice on Wicked, and I had to see a doctor, and I'd had slightly swollen cords, and I went through all of that. But the main reason for it was just overworked, you know, and just tiredness and not having that time to recover. But I learnt so much about how to pace and how to get through a show and make sure that you give your all, but also there's moments when you can ease off, you know, take your foot off the gas a little bit so that you protect yourself and you can sustain an 8-show week. I mean, it's normal things like sleep, loads of water, looking after yourself, keeping fit and healthy, you know, not going out, not drinking, back when I was like doing Rock You, like the smoke, there was smoke everywhere. If you went out into a pub, there was like, I mean, I didn't smoke, but you would passively just inhale all this smoke, and that would really affect me. But obviously we don't have that now, which is great. But just things like basically looking after yourself. It's a muscle, it's your instrument, so you've got to treat it with respect. So yeah, I mean, I think it just changes on each job, and I've learned to deal with it and rest when you can rest, and yeah, and I don't like to think about it too much, because I think people can get obsessive with their voice. Lots of people have like these strange things where they won't eat certain things, and they, you know, which works, whatever works for you is great, but I think it's good to kind of not be too crazy about it, relax, you know, don't stress too much, because I think it can do your head in.
Okay, thank you.
See, the thing, like, when I was chatting with Zoe, like, she said, I've tried, like, Vocal Zone, Fisherman's Friend, like, none of them have sort of, like, helped my voice. They sort of, like, dry it out. And I was like, so what do you use then when you're singing, like, I Will Always Love You 3 times a day? And she went, I'll be honest, Haribo. Like, Haribo.
Haribo's great.
It's the white bits from the eggs and the marshmallows. They're the one.
Great. Yeah. Anything. Oh, it's the best. I love a Haribo. I like the fried eggs. My favourite.
Oh, they're the best.
But there's any sort of, or like the what are the other things that they are? Like they're like a mental thing, but they numb you.
They really do. So as you mentioned earlier, we were talking about Alfie Boe and your podcast. So, like us and you, we've both started a podcast sort of during lockdown. What sort of inspired that? You know, how did that come about?
Well, I'd done one before in a studio in London in Jazz FM called Acting Up, and I was a guest presenter, and it was, you know, musical theatre stuff, and we would have guests on, and we would give musical theatre news and stuff, and that was great. But after that, I thought, you know, I'd really like to have my own at some point, and I just didn't get the time because it was too busy, and to schedule it in was it just wasn't happening. So obviously lockdown hit, and then I thought, actually, this is quite a good time to do it. You can do it over Zoom. I can speak to people from home. They're probably I'll probably get hold of people that I wouldn't normally get to speak to because they're at home. And that was it, really. And I just wanted to talk about lockdown and talk about the theatre industry and what what the arts is going through right now. And it's been really, really nice to chat to people. And I think the listeners are enjoying it. I think it opens up another side of people that perhaps they've not heard before. And yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I like the podcast world. It's friendly, it's nice, and it's nice to be a part of it. And we're working on season 2 at the moment, and yeah, it's all good. It's going good. Stop it. Now my dog's getting involved. Everyone's getting involved.
Oh, you've got a woofer there. Oh, what breed is your
I've got a
woofer?
little pup here. I've got a little Jack Russell. He's
cute.
Jack Russell.
Bless.
This is our show. He's
We
an old boy. He's 11.
Anyone who's listened to the
boy.
Young Broke Musicians podcast before knows we're a huge fan of dogs.
We are huge fans of dogs. Massive.
I love that.
We'll have to do like we did say that.
Gotta be.
Yeah, we did say that we're going to do like a dog pod.
A dog pod.
A dog pod episode.
Dog pod. I
Yes.
love that. I love that.
Yes.
Well, count Archer in.
Oh, I think if my dog Pippa was to go on here, she'd sound like Stacey Solomon. Honestly, she'd be like, well, my mum, she gives me treats and takes me on walks every day. Like, I genuinely think she's like the most scattiest dog ever.
Brilliant.
She's just,
And then there's
she's
my
brilliant.
pug Gus, who just snorts.
He does.
Like, he's
Yeah.
honestly part
I
pig.
love that you've got.
Yeah.
Oh, I love pugs. They're great.
He's brilliant. Well,
Funny. They've just got great personality, haven't they?
They really do. He's sort of, well, he's technically a frog, so he's a pug, but he's got like a quarter Frenchie in him. So he's got like a really like curly piggy tail,
Oh, it's
floppy
gorgeous.
ears. It is a good tail, isn't it?
It's a lovely tail. Every time I see him, I'm like, hello, because I call him my little nephew. I'm like, hello, my little nephew, Gus. Put my little thing around his little tail, and
He's
it's like a little
cute.
piggy tail. Anyway, sorry.
Oh, bless him.
So
Bless him.
when we started our podcast, we obviously, you know, we knew what like the sort of things we wanted to talk about, what ideal sort of guests we want, and we made a huge list of people we'd love to have on the podcast. You were on that list, so
You were,
please and thank
but
you there.
However, you was on the pie in the sky list. You was on the like, if we could possibly get her, that would be insane. So you was on like the top of that list. So yeah, amazing. Thank
Well, I'm
you.
thrilled.
That's a proper like,
I'm glad I'm on the list. I'm glad I made the list.
oh definitely, it's a proper podcast bucket list. So that begs the question: who's like, if you could choose like 2 or 3 like guests anywhere in the world, and they have to say yes, who would they be? Who would you love to interview on your podcast?
Ultimate guest. Well,
Ultimate guest would be I'd love to speak to I'd love to speak to Liza Minnelli, because I'm a massive fan. You don't know if you can see my picture behind me, but she's big for me. I met her once and I couldn't speak to her because I was so starstruck. But she'd be up there. I mean, if Elvis was still alive, I'd speak to Elvis. But maybe somebody like Lady Gaga or Celine Dion or Barbara Streisand or Meatloaf. That would be cool, wouldn't it? I mean, I've got endless lists, and I like that you can. I like that you can message people, you know, and you can directly message people. That's what I love about social media, is that you can get in touch with people, and people are generally nice. You know, you haven't got to go through an army of people. So it's all good. Yeah, they'd probably be my best ones, I think.
As we've got quite a few listeners that want to pursue music careers, they're in their early stages. They want to sort of get a bit more confidence in what they're doing. Do you have any advice for them? So with your career, if they want to get into something like what you've done, I know you said that you wish that you probably would have gone to something like Brit School. Do you think that would be the way that you would go, or what kind of advice would you sort of say to them?
Yeah, I think it's really difficult at the moment because, again, because of the pandemic, everything has changed in our industry. So it's hard to say what the next step is and what the right thing is. I feel for the young people that are training at the moment, because it's not normal, and we don't know what's going to happen next. We don't know when the theatres are opening. We just don't know. So it's really difficult to say, think you should go and do this. Because usually I would say, you know, get a bit of training, go and do some workshops, figure out a college that's good for you, or, you know, try and do some Amdram, or try and do something that any free theatre or any free appearances so that you can get experiences. But that's really difficult at the moment because everything's online, and to perform online is tricky, as we all know. So it's a difficult time. I think though you've got to be positive and you've got to think forward and believe that it's all going to happen and it is going to come back, which it is. And just head for that moment and be ready. You know, do all the research you can. Do any online workshops. There are a lot of stuff that is accessible to us actually at the moment where it wasn't before. So lots more people are going. And also a lot of people are teaching online that wouldn't have taught before. I mean, I don't normally teach, but I have been doing a few little things online. And I think it's a real limited moment. And I think to look out for those people that are doing those kind of things, it's a pretty unique thing that's not going to happen forever. So, you know, get on a call with somebody, get on a one-to-one or a group workshop that might be a unique experience, and so that you actually come out of this time having done something and having gained something, as opposed to going, what did I do for 6 months?
Oh, I like that.
That's
Definitely.
really nice. Like that.
Do you play any instruments at all, Kerry?
I don't. I'm horrible. And I've tried a few times. I've tried to play guitar and piano a couple of times, and I've failed miserably. And I think it's I don't have the patience for it. I sit down and I literally want to accompany myself and be like Lady Gaga, and it just doesn't happen. So I get frustrated. And yeah, I've not committed, I must admit. I should have done through lockdown actually, but yeah, I've been a bit rubbish.
Play any instrument in the world though. Which one would be your which one would be your choice?
I think either guitar or piano. I mean, guitar would be great for my gigs, but piano would be probably more useful to me.
See, I wish I could play piano, but I can't read a single note of music.
To pick up in a gig, isn't it?
Mm.
Well, not everyone has to read though, do they? I mean, Brian says he doesn't really read music. He does a bit, but he doesn't read. And I don't. I read a little bit, enough to follow a tune, but I don't read brilliantly. I don't think you have to. You know, as long as you're musical and you can hear, you can figure it out and follow a tune. I think you can get by.
Love that.
So we got a few questions from our audience, which is really exciting. They when we put the post out saying that you were coming on our podcast, we got loads of people sending some questions. So we got some here. So
amazing.
So one of our listeners, Joey, asked, this is quite a funny one, please ask Kerry if Brian May's hair is as amazing in person as it looks on TV.
Well, I've seen it change over the years, you know, over 20 years your hair does change a little bit, and it's part of his identity.
It is.
You know, obviously they know him for playing amazing guitar and writing all those brilliant songs, but it's part of who he is. And I think he gets a lot of stick, not stick, but a lot of attention about his hair.
A lot of memes.
And I do feel for him sometimes, but yeah, it's just accept him for who he is.
Yeah, definitely.
You get that quite a lot though, don't you?
I get that a lot, yeah.
You've got very big hair.
You've got some.
Yeah,
he's got some pretty cool curls.
Yeah,
he's got some locks.
See, everyone's like, "Oh, I'm so jealous. I'd love to have curly hair." I'm like, "No, don't. It's a nightmare."
We all want what we don't want. Have
exactly.
You know, grass is always greener.
So our next audience question is from someone called Casey Valentine. She's asked if you're, I presume after lockdown, if you've got any plans to do another acoustic by candlelight tour with Brian one day. She said, "I love listening to the album of the tour, and and your covers are beautiful."
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, I mean, we would love to. Like I said, before lockdown, we were working on a new album, so which I think would work brilliantly if we toured the first, few songs. So hopefully we'll finish that when we get out of lockdown, and then maybe we will put in a tour. If he's not going out with Queen, which I'm sure he will do another another stint, then we'll work our way around it. But yeah, we would love to. It's just scheduling it in.
So we've got we put our podcast out for a brilliant service called Anchor, and we love them. The analytics, and it's just so easy to use. But they've got this really cool feature where you can leave us voice messages, which have always been really, really fun and entertaining.
Yes.
So we've got a couple here. So this one is from our friend called Perry, who is a huge fan of you. He has seen you in We Will Rock You many times, and I believe was in your music video with Brian May or something kissing something. Yeah, he was in your music video for that.
Yeah, could be.
That's it, yeah. So hopefully this works and plays, but we got a voice message from him, providing our internet plays. Here we go.
Hi, Kerry. As a big Queen fan, I've seen you on a number of occasions, both in We Will Rock You at the Dominion and locally and nationally on different tours with Brian. Once lockdown is a thing of the past, do you have any plans to go back on tour with Brian? And if so, will it be like a stripped-down candlelit tour or the full-on Anthems tour with the big band, etc.? Also, if you was to go back into the West End, is there a role that you would love to play? I mean, obviously, I've seen you in We Will Rock You, and obviously, you're famous for being in Wicked and Les Mis, amongst others. But is there an ultimate role that if you could cherry-pick any role in the West End or on Broadway that you would love to play that you've not yet played?
Oh, brilliant. Thank you,
Thank
Perry.
you, Perry.
Wow, thank you very much. I mean, there's a ton of roles, like I said before, that I'm too young to play. But I guess something that I haven't done is something like Roxy in Chicago. That would be quite a nice one to do. Regarding me and Brian, yes, absolutely. We would love to go back on tour. And because we've done the acoustic by candlelight and we've also done the anthem show, I think we'd like to do something that collaborates the two. If that works, we're looking to do something for sure, but when that'll happen, I don't know just of yet. But we are back. We will be back in the studio first, I think, before we book a tour.
That'll please Perry very much.
That will.
Then our last audience question is from someone called Geordie Fox. Now, Geordie, big shout out
We
to
love
him.
Geordie.
We love Geordie.
He's a very good friend.
We still can't figure out his accent.
I don't
We
know.
can't
I'm
figure
not
it out.
sure. Maybe you can help us.
You could help
where
us.
he's from.
It's sort of like a combination of Welsh and Scottish, but
And Irish.
and Irish, yeah. But he's a huge supporter of the podcast. He tried so hard last night sending this voice message.
Right off the bat, I've tried to film this like 5 times now, so I'm going to use this one 100%. But hello, I hope you're all doing good. My question is actually I got 2 questions. I know you guys are really lucky. My first question is, what is your advice to wannabe musicians like myself? What is your advice? And also, is there like a song, maybe it's your favourite song, a song that you've heard, maybe it was your first time hearing the song, or a song that just came on at a particular time that when you think back to a memory, you think of that song? I don't know, when you listen to the song, you think of a special time in your life. What is that memory, if you would like to share to the group? But I hope you're all doing good. I hope you have a good day, and see you.
Love it. Thank you, Geordie.
Where's he from, Kerry? Where's he
I
from?
think there's a bit of Scots in there.
I think
there's
so.
a bit of Scots in there.
I think maybe sounds maybe a bit Edinburgh. Sounds a bit softer. Okay, advice to a musician would be. I don't know. Again, like I said, I've talked about this before. I don't really know what's going on at the moment, and I think we've got to use these platforms to our advantage, and especially with music, people are going online. So go online. Use this time to write your songs, play on. Do some live concerts, maybe some live streaming, because it's accessible to us at the moment. So I think it's a time to embrace that. And regarding the second part. You have to, I think you have to embrace it. Regarding the song, I think it would have to be No One But You, because I have sung it all over the world and it means so much coming from the musical and then performing it with Brian. And I've done some huge performances with it. So it always does mean a lot. And each time I sing it, it doesn't matter where it is. It just means a lot. So I think that's
Oh,
that's
that's
probably
amazing.
That's really nice.
I love that.
That's
I love
really,
that
really
so
nice.
much.
Oh, brilliant. So we got a couple more questions for you. So I thought of this one last night because there's so much sort of bad things going on in the world right now, so we want to bring the positive. We
love
want to keep
positivity
it positive.
on the Young Broke Musicians
Yeah.
podcast.
So
Good.
what's one
Very
thing?
good.
Yeah. So even though it's like sort of early in the week, what's one thing that's made you happy this week?
Well, my kids went back to school this week, so that made me very happy. And my youngest started big school.
Oh wow!
And it was so sweet to see them in their little uniforms and to feel like there's a movement, you know, and that we're getting back out there. You know, there is a slow, steady movement, because if the kids go back, it means business is going to open. It means, you know, hopefully theatre is that step closer to opening. You know, so that made me happy this week. I mean, I'm pretty positive anyway, but that was pretty up there.
You are listening to your podcast episodes. They're always so happy and easily listening to. I love them.
Yeah,
it's really, really nice.
Yeah, it's good. There's so much negativity in the world. I think we all need to bring a bit of joy when we can.
Definitely.
It's true.
Definitely. And then we've got that question.
The final question.
Now, we ask this question to every guest that we have, and every answer's been different, haven't it? Except, well, actually, Lee, the previous podcast we've just done, he had a few answers that were the same as yours, which is good. He's got good taste.
Same as mine. He has good taste.
He does.
Has good taste. So if you was to plan your own festival, like a Glastonbury or like a Reading's Leeds Festival, who would you have for your headliners for the Friday, Saturday and the Sunday? Who would be your...
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's a brilliant
We get that
question.
quite a bit, don't we?
I'm a massive Beyonce fan. I think she brings the show. She brings, you know, the excitement. I love her. I think she's just powerful and strong and fantastic singer, and I think she'd put a great show on. I think my second one would be maybe the Foo Fighters. The Foo Fighters bring a bit of something edgy. And my third one would probably be maybe Queen with Adam Lambert, and I could do a little guest spot.
I'd love that.
Maybe
Maybe you do it with Queen, and then Adam
Lambert can be the guest.
Could be the guest.
There you go. I'll take that.
That's amazing.
I love that.
Oh, happy days. So,
Brilliant.
Kerry, thank you so much for being on our podcast. It's been a pleasure and privilege having you on the show. We're going to leave the links to your podcast in the description below, because I've been loving listening to that. I've listened to, I think, 3 or 4 episodes so far. I think I've listened to Kimberly Walsh, Denise Van Elton, Alfie Bow and awesome. Beverly Knight as well, which and they've all just been really great. So everyone, please head over to iTunes and Spotify and all the good streaming sites and listen to. We haven't actually said the name yet, and I love the name, Keep Calm and Carry On, which is such a great name for a podcast.
Brilliant.
Yay.
It's such a brilliant name for a podcast.
Thank you, guys. That's awesome. Thank you for having me on. And I'm sorry about all the interruptions.
It's all good.
It's been lovely to talk to you. And I will shout about you guys on mine too.
Oh, amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone who's streamed, thank you, everyone. Please give us a little follow and share this podcast with your friends.
That would be awesome. And if Brian wants to come onto the podcast, just let him know where we are.
I will do. I'll let him know. Cheers, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much to Kerry to come in onto the podcast today.
She's amazing.
She is
so nice.
Insanely amazing. I don't think I've ever fangirled out so much as I did today.
I had a bit of a fanboy.
I think I kept it like...
You stayed calm and collective.
I did.
You did.
I stayed calm and I carried on. Carried on.
Oh, nice one. Nailed it. No, she was amazing. And like we said, I don't know if it caught on the podcast bit, but we're going to leave the link to her podcast and her website in the description below. Keep Calm and Carry On. Go and follow it and subscribe to it, because she's had some amazing guests on.
She's had Beverly Knight.
Kimberly Walsh.
Denise Van Elton.
And my favourite, I think, Alfie Bow, because he was saying he originally wanted to be a rock star. and sing like
that's
rock, but then he was told like, if you want to sing rock, you've got to sort of train for opera, and then your voice can do anything, and then he sort of stuck with it, which was really, really cool. I like that story.
I like that a lot.
That was amazing.
But yeah, absolutely incredible morning we've had today. So thank you so much to Kerry.
And maybe even get Brian next soon. You never know.
That would be really cool.
Really cool.
But I'm happy with Kerry if
was
that's
amazing.
yeah, 100%.
But
so make sure that you like and subscribe onto the Young Broke Musicians
and if you want to super help us out, leave us a nice little 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, because Kerry discovered our podcast through recommendations on some app. I haven't actually found out what app, but if you do want to help us out, that would be really, really cool.
That would be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
We're also on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts as well.
We are. And I think there's only one thing left to say.
There is indeed, and that is
see ya.